want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Sleeping. So this is what the president obviously has on his mind as he heads to Missouri and tries to move forward with some of the agenda. It's an obvious man-made, I mean, not man-made, natural, incredible disaster that Texas is dealing with.
Who is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion,
no.
though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it.
It's an obvious man-made, I mean, not man-made, natural, incredible disaster that Texas is dealing with.
This is James LaFleur with the Impossible Channel, Road to Dramatic Music. Okay, so what we got here, folks, is definite proof that you will want to share all of this that's happening right now, all these storms, weather patterns, hurricanes. This is being shaped by men, okay? This is man-made, and until up until now, I thought this was like they were using HAARP and chemtrails to avoid the hurricanes, right? To make them you know, lesser, weaker, okay? But now I'm just watching this video that was sent to us by a subscriber which wishes to remain anonymous. I'm watching this video over and over, and you know, I'm like, okay, if I understand this very correctly, you know, if I understand this right, they're throwing in the storm into the continent. That's basically it. They're not deviating the storm. They're making it worse, and they're pushing it inland. This video proves it 100%. Up until now, folks, no one had 100% evidence that this was going on. We have videos of HAARP being activated very close to storms, okay? But we never had this detailed video where you can clearly see the HAARP waves, well, basically steering the storm. So I'm gonna thank you. Well, big thanks to the subscriber who sent us in, okay? And I want you to share.
The Senate committee will now hear from Jacob Lawson, Climate ISS Chief Coordinator. May the record reflect that he was nearly 1 hour late.
Yeah, sorry about that. I literally had to fly in from outer space.
Thanks to a system of satellites, natural disasters have become a thing of the past. We can control our weather.
Mr. President, one of our thermospheric satellites malfunctioned over Afghanistan.
So your proposal is what?
We shut down all satellites.
I don't need to remind all of you how many people died from catastrophic climate conditions.
Make sure there's no further incidents.
Are you going back up to space?
But I'm coming back, I promise.
Have a safe trip, sir.
Just don't touch anything.
Main engine start.
This is Mr. Jake Lawson.
The Jake Lawson? You look much older than I would have thought. I mean, you look good. Am I getting fired? My access has been blocked.
So satellite has a bad comm, that happens.
Not a satellite. All of them.
This wasn't a malfunction. It was intentional.
There's potential for catastrophic weather events on a global scale.
A geostorm. We have to shut the system down.
The only one who has the kill codes is the president.
I need your help.
You're soliciting a Secret Service agent. Seriously? We're kidnapping the president in a self-driving cab.
Jake, if you can't stop it, no one can. 3, 2, 1. Come on, baby.
You realize you're committing treason?
Oh, yeah, I kidnapped the president. I've stolen state secrets. Yeah, anything I'm forgetting, honey?
Honey.
Hold on!
Out here.
Hi folks, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. It is September 9/2017 at about 9 o'clock on the East Coast or West Coast Pacific Standard Time. They're announcing a mass evacuations out of Florida. Get out of the entire state. Some say 3.5 million, some say 5 million. Here's 5.6 million people told to evacuate. The storm was called over a week ago, hitting now. I want to get into some anomalies, but I want to get in some news going on around pertinent to what's happening here. Yeah, Kim Kardashian determined to take Taylor Swift down. Is made-up story. Yeah, we need to know about this stuff, folks. Sorry, just a little gallow humor here. Just to give you an idea what's going on as of yesterday at 4 p.m. This is from someone who's well prepped, it looks like. Stuff is interior filling bathtubs, trash cans. Howdy media is missing the reality. And here we're going to get into how all of a sudden Hurricane IRMA suddenly makes a right-hand turn, signals, and goes straight up to Florida like no hurricane has ever done before. And they were predicting it over a week ago. So massive numbers of East Coasters came to the West Coast based on storms. This only exacerbated fuel shortage in the West. Seeing officials saying to people to make final evacuations now just seems silly. 6.5 million people told to evacuate the entire state of Florida. After checking with people within the recovery and process, everything is closing at 8 p.m. tonight, and there's no plans for opening anything until Tuesday. That's 4 days of severe hunkering down. The earliest fuel shipments I could confirm anticipated to arrive on Wednesday of next week. That's right when the next Jose is supposed to hit. Day after that, apparently. That's 5 days of self-sufficient fuel. Power is going to be a big issue. If the path is anything like current projections, we can anticipate a power outage in Florida, breaking all known records. Once again, the geographical dynamic means the southernmost impact zone will be without power the longest, and without fuel the longest. As a rough guess, based entirely on driving around and paying attention, it would appear that 25% of homesteads are not prepared at all, 50% of those observed in the regions are moderately prepared, and 25% appear generally well prepared. I would estimate the number of people fully comprehending what might take place over the next 5-10 days, let's make that a couple weeks at least, knowledge of how to move forward is in the 3 to 5% range. That's about the same range of the general population who are considered to be, quote, preppers. Those who fail to prepare to get... I don't want to say it. Jose, still a dangerous Category 4 hurricane, threatens second blow to Irma-ravaged islands. This is coming in right behind Irma. They've got them set up, folks. I'm going to show how this storm's just bringing to your attention that these have been tracking hurricanes for a very long time. 1948, the military had their Air Force hurricane hunters. And look at the coast. 1, 2, 3, 4 going up the coast. We'll get into that a little more. Mexico, poor Mexico, man, is hit by a tropical storm, Katia, less than 24 hours after devastating 8.1 magnitude. like to be interested in what the word Katia means. It sounds like a Spanish name. Poor people down there, say a prayer for them. In Florida is nearing 10 years with no hurricanes. This is from 2015. But before that, the last hurricane to make landfall in Florida was Wilma on October 24th, 2005. Florida's current hurricane-free streak dwarfs the previous record dating to 1851, which was 5 consecutive seasons from 1980 to 1984. This is almost a 10-year period without a hurricane in Florida is rather remarkable, given the state has 1,260 miles of coastline. Unless you take in the fact that all weather is manipulated and managed. They can make it rain whenever they want it to. All right, let's look at the path of Irma and show why it's the anomaly of all hurricane anomalies, not only being the biggest recorded hurricane on history, the most devastating, the most destructive hitting the Caribbean, but also the strangest path that a hurricane has ever taken before. Let's take a look. All right, so let's get into it. So here's a map from the past 50 years of the major, biggest hurricanes coming from across the Atlantic. Over 50 years, folks. Take a look. Cuba up to Florida. Never has happened before. These are the Cape Verde that are coming from the east of west coast of Africa, strutting across. But look, and I want to get into this, how it comes to Cuba, and all of a sudden, this thing is going straight as can be. It's been going across the Atlantic in the Cape Verde direction. It's always gone, and then it gets to Cuba. Now it's spinning for 24 hours. It's spinning in Cuba. And here we see it spinning and spinning. All of a sudden it's stalled out over Cuba for 24 hours. And then all of a sudden it reaches a big stop sign as soon as it gets to the Gulf and hangs a right angle turn. Out of nowhere, Cinderella story, hurricane never before hit like this before, and it makes a right turn at Cuba. Maybe there was a stop sign. Maybe there was a cop officer of the weather control saying go right. No, there's something else going on, folks. It's weather or manipulation. They knew this was going to hit Florida a week ago. They predicted it was going to happen, and it happens because they control it. They own the weather. Hurricane hunters have been around for 50 years, folks. They've studied it. They know how to create it. They know how to manipulate it. They can do it from the air. They can do it from the land. And they can do it from the sea. And this is their biggest creation so far. And it's a wet dream for these guys. But look at Hurricane Matthew. Look at Hurricane Irma. None of them have ever made a right turn like this before. It has never happened in the history of weather. This is another clear indication of weather manipulation. I believe this was Katrina coming in, and now we got Katia coming in. Katrina, Katia, same kind of name, pure. I look at it coming up from the Bahamas, Matthew's path coming straight up this way. Came from the south, came across, and then went up. No storms have ever gone Cuba and hung a right, especially in counter-cyclical directions, folks. And let's take a look at the anomalies of the images going on chronicled by Truth Channel.
This image does not, has not, and I don't know if it will match what is actually being reported on the ground. See, when you click on the satellite image information, all you're doing is you're getting this superimposed onto this. I know what this is. We all know what this is. So this is a 150-mile-an-hour hurricane called Irma that's spinning around over Cuba and has been hanging out here for over 24 hours. And for some reason, and this is only from NASA, this is all satellite images come from NASA. Let me repeat this. There is no independent satellite image that is coming from anywhere. It's all from NASA. This is all from one source. But because this is a mosaic, radars are mosaics generally, which means that the information comes from thousands of sources that all get compiled into one. It's just raw data. This is raw data. This is very, very hard to get wrong, because this is what's actually happening on the ground. So let's take a peek at what is actually happening on the ground. We have in Cuba this storm that has been brewing from NASA all day. We see that now there's actually some oomph to it. There's some water in these clouds, these orange bands. This is rain. The rest of the green is just clouds. We have wind speed at 20 miles an hour, okay? And that's right here. Let's go over to Havana. Havana, I gotta actually click on Havana. Havana, Cuba's wind speeds at 8 miles an hour. And this is as of 1:55 a.m. So this was only 10 minutes ago, okay? This information is updating continually. As you can see, these are, you know, this is going, I think, every 5 minutes or so. I don't know, every 10 minutes it looks like. Okay, so let me back up. Now, I got a link from Kafka Winston, a YouTube channel who's, I will provide a link in the notes here. She gave me this. I don't speak Spanish well enough to be able to find the wind speeds and stuff on here. But the image is interesting. It's a very interesting image. It does, in part, match what we're seeing here. So, if this is Hurricane IRMA, it's not being recorded by their own land recording instruments. The instruments that are feeding into IntelliCast are giving us wind speeds of 8 miles an hour. So if this is a hurricane, which there is a circle here, I don't know why, but there's also a lot of stripes. So before I'm going to give this tons of credibility of being a hurricane simply because there's a circle here, I'm also going to question what the hell are all these stripes. This is a very strange looking storm, and I can't measure it. I can tell you that it does physically look like it's here, although these are clouds. You know, I'm not going to even analyze this, but it does match this picture here, kind of, sort of. But the wind speeds, this whole purpose of me doing this is because this is real-time data that as soon as this browser refreshes will no longer be available to anybody. So I'm capturing this real-time simply for points of reference.
So what this lady who's doing this fine work on the Truth Channel is not being able to put together is the geoengineering using the Doppler NEXRAD radar systems. And here you see them from the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica. You know, you've got Guantanamo Bay right over here run by the United States. And so they can just literally push the storm at a right angle towards Florida. Here's another shot of it. You can see that this is occurring. They have them all set up, ready to go. So here it comes to the MUVR. They start turning on the system, boom, and they can blast it straight up into Florida, right angle hurricanes, most powerful ever, and they'll steer the weather right up into Florida to cause the massive amount of damage being inflicted on a hurricane that's never, ever shown a path like this in history. All of history, folks. It's geoengineered. This is weather war terrorism, and people need to be held accountable.
Teams will be out surveying the impact of last night's storm.
National Weather Service says as many as 6 possible tornadoes were reported on the ground.
So rain totals as high as 6 inches in southwestern Minnesota, several spots over 3 inches of rain.
This is in a couple hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that was kind of the interesting thing, and probably one of the biggest reasons why we don't have a ton of damage reports right now is because when those storms went through, there was so much rain, it was really difficult to pick out the rotation. Normally when we see tornadoes, it's a little bit of a drier setup, and you're able to see that funnel cloud forming kind of early in the afternoon when we saw that first one come, and then as the National Weather said, 6 more reports of tornadoes. Yeah. I'll show you the line that took. First one popped up just to the west of Lake Crystal. You can see it there. That was at about 4:20. Kept moving up north through Nicollet by about 5, bringing down tree branches. I think the biggest I saw was about 12 inches in diameter. Kept moving northward towards Gaylord, and still by 6:15, this was that heavy rain-wrapped tornado just to the west of Gaylord, and then things
How about it?
All right, so here's some couple reader comments, a few reader comments that have been coming in there. Just want to bring your attention to, I live in Portland, Oregon. The fires here are crazy. Day before yesterday, winds changed direction. I had to wear a mask because the smoke was so bad. 1/8 of an inch of ash covering my car. Fire located in the gorge. Only 7% contained. 44 years old, lived here my whole life. Never had to wear a mask. I've been trying to do the math. I do not understand how an island in the eye of the storm pummeled by Barbuda, 60 miles away from St. Thomas, which sustains much less damage. Just like Puerto Rico. The storm system is reportedly the size of France. The storm would be almost 500 miles from end to end. How is it missing locations very close together? It was 2 days travel from St. Bart's to the coast of San Juan, 211 miles away. The state of emergency was called on Monday, though it was 5 or more days off, and they're predicting very specific outcomes. How do they know? Because they're making it.
What's gone into them? They're all worked up today.
We found something extraordinary. Extraordinary and disturbing, that is. You recall what you said about how polar melting might disrupt the North Atlantic current?
Yes.
Well, I think it's happening.
Folks, we've hit some unusual turbulence. We've encountered a cloud layer that's abnormally high.
You all right?
Please remain.
He's afraid of flying.
The government has to start making long-term preparations now.
Jack, all you have is a theory.
It's been raining like this for 3 days now.
Mr. Vice President, if we don't act now, it's going to be too late.
I'm afraid that time has come and gone, my friend.
What can we do?
Save as many as you can.
The storm is just going to get worse. What should we do? I will come for you. Do you understand me?